In 2022, we got Stranger Things Season 4. This show is created by the Duffer Brothers, starring Winona Ryder, David Harbour, as well as Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaten Matarazzo, Noah Schnapp, and McLaughlin, and so many others. But this season of Stranger Things is about just when things seem to normalize in Hawkins, a dark entity from its past emerges, claiming the lives of several innocent victims, and ultimately puts Hawkins in disarray without its protector, 11. So we're here to talk about this season and help you decide whether or not it's the right one to watch as a Christian. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm your host Tim, and we exist to help Christians live in the world, not of the world, by utilizing our convictions in the movies and shows we watch. Stranger Things Season 4 is rated TV 14 for some disturbing images, some intense violence and action, some gore, and some language. So we're going to dive into any convictions you may have that may prevent you from watching this season, any theological themes present within it, and wrap it up with my own personal thoughts on this season. Without further ado, let's dive into the Christian Conviction Meter. If this is your first time here, the Christian Conviction Meter is a series of 5 convictions that may distract or hinder your relationship with Jesus. Ultimately, it is a guide and resource to help you figure out whether or not Stranger Things aligns with the convictions God has given you. Kicking things off with violence and gore here, this once again is putting the test to the TV 14 rating. There is lots of gunfighting. There is even a bit of some sword usage as well. There are severed limbs. There are broken bones and so many places. There is a lot of blood that is a part of this season, and it doesn't matter where it is coming from. It is all over the place. But there are also cuts, scrapes, bruises, some gashes here and there. And of course, there is some giant battles between fighting some of the Demobats as well as some Demogorgons, and there's just a lot of fighting here, not just with guns or flamethrowers or some of those things, but also even a fight in the mind and using powers, which we both see Vecna and 11 do within this season. There also is a pretty disturbing part in which we see the after effects of a massacre, which causes the death of several children who are a part of this facility. It is disturbing. All that to say, we're giving this a 5 out of 5 in this category. Our next category is lust, and there are a few moments of which some characters are changing into clothes, one of which is seen very briefly. The other is kind of going back and forth between two characters, and all you see is their undergarments. That is a part of the show. There is some kissing that is also part of this season, sometimes very passionate moments of that as well. Another thing to note here is very early on in the season, we see a character who is hosed down. He's not wearing anything, and you can't really see anything explicit, but that is still a part of the show. All that to say, just to be kind of on the safe side here, we are going to give this a 3 out of 5. Our next category is substances, and there is a decent amount here. While there is no, I'd say, explicit abuse of any of these things, there is some beer and other alcohols referenced throughout the show, as well as used within this season. There also is the use of some cigarettes, but it's not as prevalent as the past several seasons. There is a lot of use of weed, though, that is contained within this season. There also are some references to some other hardcore drugs that are pretty early on in the film. There also is a specific deal that happens within the show in which a character is seeking out some drugs to partake in using. So all of that to say, there's a lot here in the show. It's more surprising in that regard than any of these past seasons here. So we are going to give this a 4 out of 5. Our next category is profanity. And in terms of some of the words that are used here, hell is used, the DA and DI word is used, the BI word is used, the SH and the A word are all used here. There also is multiple uses of middle fingers, as well as saying Jesus or God or some of those things as well, and a more reactionary statement. All of that to say, we are going to give this a 4 out of 5 in this category. Our next category is intense/horror scenes. This is full-on horror, okay? And it's even darker than the previous season, which we talked about here in season 3. Because of the nature of the main villain of this season and his powers, it is extremely, extremely dark. Namely, what he does as he takes over the characters' minds, he slowly causes them to levitate before breaking their bones and their jaws and puncturing their eyes.
Dear God.
There's more.
No.
It is dark and disturbing and very creepy, and it will make you wince. Just gonna guarantee that, especially if you don't like contortionism or anything of that sort. You are not gonna like it. Also, once again, dealing with our villain Vecna, he does cause many of his victims to see some of the dark moments of their past and have them relive it, sometimes with even giving a more deformed look, a creepier look than what actually took place, although we do not fully know that. Either way, it is very horrifying, and you do see even some deformed faces as he is truly messing with his victims. Like I also mentioned at the violence and gore section of the conviction meter here, there's a massacre that is shown after the events of what takes place, in which we do see a lot of kids just who are no longer alive, and that is, once again, like I said, it's dark and it's disturbing as well to note here. There also is a scene of which kids are electrocuted by a shock collar for disobeying orders and things that they were supposed to do, or rather not supposed to do in this case. There also is a scene in which we see a cradle burning and we hear baby screams. I told you it's a dark season. If I could give this a 6 out of 5, I would lean towards saying I would, but we do want to keep it honest here on the channel, and overall, it's a dark and disturbing season. I just want to let you in on that. All of that to say, we are going to give this a 5 out of 5 in this category, because it's a dark show. So our grand total on the conviction meter is going to be a 21 out of 25. That being said, it is very high in its intense/horror scenes, and as well as its violence and gore here. If you struggle with any of the areas we talked about, and I'll be honest, there's even some parts that I kind of struggled with it, namely with just like some of the contortion stuff I get grossed out about. But again, this is a full-on horror show, but if there's anything that compromises your convictions or you just feel icky or uncomfortable about, make sure to follow in the convictions that God has given you. He's given them for a reason, to help you grow in your relationship with Jesus, and anything that a show can offer is nowhere near comparable to what Jesus can offer. No show is worth compromising your convictions over, so make sure to follow those convictions that he has given you. All that to say, it leads us into our next topic as we dive into some theological themes that are present within this season. And the only thing here that is kind of referenced is specifically Romans 12:20. One of the basketball players kind of references it. There's a lot of talk in this season, particularly about how Dungeons and Dragons is linked to the occult or Satanism. Some of those things. It is a big part of this season, but there really isn't anything explicitly about Jesus, the Bible, Christianity, the church. None of that is really explicitly within this season. Just the one brief Bible verse reference there, and of course just a lot of talk about how Satan is working, or the devil, and some of those things are a pretty decent part of this season. So with that wrapped up, it's time to dive into what I think of Stranger Things Season 4. And this show takes an even darker turn in this season. Like I mentioned in Season 3, they really embrace the full-on sci-fi horror. And this is levels even above that, I would say. Namely because of the fact that we get introduced to the darkest, most sinister villain in the series yet, by the name of Vecna, and he is menacing in every way, shape, or form, from his voice to the way he moves to his powers. Even his design is absolutely creepy and horrifying. It's meant to be that way, which I will give props to the designs and the team who worked on creating Vecna. He looks great, but boy is he dark. But we also get introduced to another character here by the name of Eddie Munson, played by Joseph Quinn. This was the first show that, or really just anything we all saw him in, and he became a instant fan favorite, not just by me, but by many others who watched the show. Absolutely lovable character, funny, witty, and very much is like how we would all react to certain events and stuff. It was a very relatable character to say, but a fan favorite nonetheless. This season very much felt like Stranger Things' version of The Empire Strikes Back. Not just in the way it ended, but also in the fact of our group is split. Just like The Empire Strikes Back, in which our main trio was split, this shows three different kind of core groups here. We start off with our group that's in California, and they have their own journey. It's really cool, really neat. There's some nice moments in there, a few surprises, and we get a lot of backstory, particularly for 11, as well as a few other characters and some twists and turns in there that I will not spoil. And then, of course, we have our group that's over in Russia, and of course, the surprises there, the challenges of that environment, and we get to see some really cool moments even within that. And then, of course, we have our group in Hawkins, which is always fun, and they're dealing with the chaos and disarray of what is happening. I mean, just it's overwhelming, the insanity of what's happening in Hawkins, and we get to see that even more in this season, and I'm sure we will continue to see more of it going into season 5. There's a lot of cool moments here, and we really get to see some other characters shine. In particular, Sadie Sink's character Max gets a much bigger spotlight in this season, which I really dug. I think she's a really great actress and definitely someone who's going to be a big star for years to come. But the biggest thing that shocked me with this season is the fact that it is still rated TV-14. And unless I misread something, it is still TV-14, and that just blows my mind. I think it feels very much more like a TVMA sort of season and a TVMA sort of show going forward here. I mean, it is dark and disturbing and just absolutely horrifying in many, many moments. Granted, I have a conviction for me and myself. I don't watch a lot of horror shows in general, namely like demonic horror, stuff like that. And this probably, even for me, pushes the boundaries just a little bit. And while it's not explicitly like demons and stuff like that, it is pretty close at moments. But even still, those are things even to keep in mind, even for myself, just throwing that out there. But overall, the show is very enjoyable, and I think this is by far the best season since season 1 to be released so far. There's a lot of great moments in here, some solid action, some solid adventure, some really surprising twists and turns, and a resolution that leaves you excited for the next season, even though it has taken quite a long time since that point. But all that being said, we are going to give this an 8.7 out of 10. In case you're wondering how we rate our shows here on the channel, we take all the episodes, rate them individually, add them together, then divide by the number of episodes to give us our grand total, which in this case is an 8.7 out of 10. Overall, a really strong, really solid and enjoyable, yet dark and disturbing season of Stranger Things. So it is a 21 out of 25 on the conviction meter. It is a 8.7 out of 10 in our review. Those are my thoughts, so let me know yours down in the comments below. Let's chat all things about Stranger Things Season 4 within the comments. And while you're down there, consider hitting that like and subscribing for us, joining our community here on YouTube. It just helps to send us out into the algorithm, allows us to reach more Christians, help them utilize their convictions in the movies and shows they watch. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with us here. We truly appreciate it. It means the absolute world to us. Before you go, there's a few video recommendations that YouTube is suggesting to you, one of which is Season 3 of Stranger Things. So if you want to see our thoughts over there, it is available that you can watch it now. And we'll see you all in the next one.